something that was related, but not necessarily too related because he didn't play in it. But the reason he didn't play was the injury. Joey Daccord missed this game with an upper body injury. I know that there are some folks online who have speculated it's a groin. Last I checked, the groin is lower. It's not upper. So, I mean, maybe check that part out. Or they could be lying, which I imagine that's a fine of some sorts if you like incorrectly label an injury, right? Like I have to feel like that's not legally. Like you can't do that, right? I don't think you can. Anyway, um, when Biosma was they recalled goaltender Alisteska from Coachella Valley on the emergency basis. He backed up Grubauer in this one. Stupid people on Twitter said to put Steska in during that game, which go back to the gambling thing I talked about. You need help. Um, Bilesma, I believe, after the practice or no, the morning of the Vancouver game, said that he was um, hopeful that Joey would be able to play Monday against Utah. They practiced today. Joey skated on his own before the main group, which usually happens for an injured player if you're not aware. And Bilesma said that he doesn't think it's likely. I can find the exact terminology. That he'll play tomorrow, which uh, isn't great. And I'm not trying to compare it one for one, but the last time I feel like I got like I had this truth spun on me or flipped on me was when Jordan Eberle got hurt. The Kraken were playing a back to back that homestand against the Islanders and the Rangers. I saw Jordan Eberle on crutches, and I remember Dan Bilesma had told us that either Friday or during that weekend that they were hopeful that Jordan Eberle would be able to play the upcoming week. And then we found out his pelvis needed surgery, and now he's out till essentially when the season's over. So I'm not trying to put you into a doom spiral. Milo, if you're hearing this, I'm not trying to put you into a doom spiral. Um, but it's concerning, right? I mean, to hear like optimism that we'd see the guy on Monday, or even that he'd be, even if he was fully available in practice today, that would be a good sign as well. Um, I don't know what does a Joey Daccord injury do to Seattle? Because at least us, if you were asking random men on Twitter, they'd say that Grubauer is going to lose every game and he's going to be Swiss cheese. But thankfully we're not random men on Twitter. Um, I don't know. What does a Joey Daccord injury look like? Are we concerned? What do we think about this situation, Jade? And we'll throw it over to Silvia to talk about
Um,
our beloved Joel.
I think this is no reason to start panicking too much. Um, I do have my hesitations, because like you said, the Eberle injury, it does make me a little bit nervous, but I'm trying to stay positive because so many people are already panicking. There's no reason for every single person that has ever followed the Kraken ever to panic that Joey is missing 2 games. Um, if he is injured long term, that does make me a little bit nervous for the rest of the season. Not that I don't think Grubauer can do it because I am sure he would be just fine. Um, but it does make me nervous for what that means for the rest of the season and uh the sanity of the people that exist in the realm of Kraken Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, I will never be one to panic about anything ever. I'm too cool and collected for that. Um, I think this is going to be like this is like one of the seven of hell Kraken a little bit. This is a test right? Of one, do your players trust each other enough to kind of back each other up when your biggest asset isn't on the ice? And in this sense, like your biggest asset isn't a scorer. Obviously, we do not have the greatest scorers on in the NHL, but we do have Joey Daccord, who's like kind of saving everybody's asses out there anytime he's out there. Um, so I think it's part that, right? It's is this a team? Is this team a team enough to like be able to stand up for each other, and pick, the good fight and kind of play better offensively and defensively because our defense wasn't there for Vancouver at all. So are we able to back each other up? I also think if it comes to Utah, Joey's not back yet. Um, and it turns out that we're not, this team isn't willing to do that, then what does that look like when it comes to the trade deadline and to what players get pulled up and who gets scratched? I think this is a really good time to kind of just, for the front office to take a step back and really analyze what do we want for this Kraken team, especially this Kraken team where they were looking to build something in the first 5 years before they won anything. So it's I think it's just a good test, for them. I'm really hoping one of my things is I'm slowly starting to you know, become the Philip Grubauer protector on Twitter for some reason. I think I'm really hoping that if Joey is long term, and I hope that he's not, this kind of goes to show a lot of the fans and the players and whoever else that you have to be able to trust your goalie. Again, we've talked about this before. He is paid the way he's paid for a reason. The front office trusts him. The front office also trusts the players that they're pulling up. If they weren't, then they wouldn't be there at all. So I think that we also have to, remember and just trust in the fact that these are professional players. I think Grubauer is going to kind of show up the way he has, or the way he did in Vancouver. He had like 4 awesome stops. Um, Again, as long as our defense is back, as long as our offense can really just generate literally anything, please, I swear to God, I'm begging for them to shoot at this point. I think we will be fine. Again, it's not like we're making the playoffs. What? Why are we crying? We're
Yeah,
nowhere near the Cup.
I think you need to, yeah, I think expectations need to be set. Like if this was a team that, was in one of the playoff spots in the Pacific or even in like solidly in a wild card, then you could, manage expectations. But unless this team goes on a heater of sorts and you get some help in the West and some other teams decide they just want to croak, um, it just looks unlikely. We've talked about that already. But yeah, no, I mean, I had this again. Some random white man on Twitter did not like that I said that over the last few weeks, Grubauer has played well in the games he's got. You look back to it, December 8th against New York. I mean, it wasn't his best game, right? Um, but I mean, he made stops to help them. That also that comeback doesn't happen if he doesn't make stops in the right moments, right? He did not play against Florida in Boston. I mean, that was a really solid game for him. You get a bunch of and the only goal he allowed was the penalty shot, and Brad Marchand tends to be a penalty shot merchant, I guess, considering he's got what tied for the most in NHL history. Um, the Tampa Bay game, as Jade saw, I mean, that was another solid game. I'm not blaming the 5 goals on him. You know, uh, did he play in Ottawa? I don't think so. I don't know. My point stands. He's played well in the last few weeks. Seattle hasn't played well as a team in front of him, like Silvia has talked about. And that's evidenced by, I mean, I'm looking at the 1 goal, 0 goals, 1 goal, 2 goals, two. Come on, gotta be able to score.
There's a whole
Um,
thing that somebody did last year about how the team just essentially breaks down in front of Grubauer too. And that's something that I try to keep in mind. Because like any sports fan ever, I love Grubauer. I am also a Grubauer defender. I still have my moments where I'm like, what are you doing? Please just stop the puck. Like,
sure.
and that's standard for any fan. But I feel like, but I do like take that into consideration a lot when I'm like, okay, he's having a couple really bad games in a row. Like, what's going on, and then I'm like, okay, probably not him. Let's take a look at what the team is doing. How are they playing in front of him? And so that's something that I think about often. So
And my other thing with the Joey injury is, if say he's out for an extended period, say he misses a few weeks, God forbid, even that, like, you then have to trust Philip Grubauer to you're gonna have to ride him. because the last
Hmm.
thing you want is a guy who's essentially been an AHL goalie. It's not like what was it last year where you had Chris Drieger who you knew could play at the NHL level. It's not. Those are not the same scenario. Kraken Canada on fucking Twitter is like put Stezka in. You are a moron. A Come on. An AHL goaltender going against the Vancouver Canucks, even without Quinn Hughes and Elias Pettersson. Like Jake DeBrusk is cooking that man and his stalker, maybe. I learned about that over the weekend. I was fascinated by that. I don't know. I
It's
just
incredible.
Oh yeah, we don't have time for that. That is,
No.
we will start our own NHL show and we will do that there. We'll talk about Gino all you want.
Yes.
Um, but so come to grips, Kraken Canada and other Philip Grubauer haters. If this is the scenario they are going to have to ride Philip Grubauer. And the month of January is a busy month. They play about 16, 17 games in a span of 32 days. I mean, so we'll go from when January begins on January 1st. Who knows who will be hungover that day. No game, game, no game, game. You know, they have game every other day, except there's a 2 day break. There's 2 days of no games between the 7th and the 8th. They travel to Columbus to start a road trip. Same thing. They have games every other day until the 21st and 22nd, which is 2 days off during a homestand. It is a busy month. So this is obviously a really bad. You can't ask Joey, hey, don't get injured. Just heal up.
Hmm.
Just be better. Like Silvia was saying, like I simply wouldn't let that happen to us, right? Sylvia wouldn't let that happen to us. I know she's got us, right? There you go. So you'll have to sack up, deal with it. You cannot. You can maybe afford to start him here or there. I mean, if he's hurt long, if we're doing the multiple weeks thing, I mean, there's a back to back at the end of the month between Edmonton and then you come back home and play Anaheim. Then you'd have to play him, but I'm not trusting an AHL goalie because again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think Stezka has any extended stints in the AHL. I mean NHL. Sorry. I'll look it up again just to be sure. But you get what I'm saying here? Like, if this is the reality, hopefully, Joey is just going to eat a lollipop and he'll be fine and he'll be back, when they play Vancouver on Thursday. Um, but yeah, I mean, yeah, no, he has not played an NHL game.
No,
Oh,
I think he's
Christ
like
in heaven.
6, 9, and 6 in his 18 games that he's played with the Firebirds so far. So like even if Grubauer was fully falling apart, that is
Mhm.
Stetsko's just not the guy you want in net at all.
No,
Especially it,
oh,
yeah,
he's your
especially
depth.
if your Kraken are not showing up for your main goal,
Uh-oh.
and he's great for this other kid.
Oh, yeah, no, I mean, it's just I had this moment. We were recording our Mariner show earlier where I realized just how bad their offseason is. This is me realizing just how bad it would be because, I mean, we go here and we look at this. He's got career, Czechia, yes, Czechia, Czechia, Czechia. He played in the World Juniors, USHL. Wow, magical. USHL goes back to Czechia. Then he signed with Coachella Valley last year. He went 18-6 there, 18-6-2. Yeah, two overtime losses. This year he's 6-9-6. So not so bueno. And then yeah, like you said, you put him in front of the way this defense has been playing. Sorry, he's exploding.
The
He
Kraken
will.
may never win again if that happens.
I just it is
Knock on wood
amazing to
right
me.
now, Jade.
Huh?
Knock on wood right now.
Oh God. Okay.
It is just amazing to me. People think so low of the guy, and I get it. The contract's big. They should. As a guy who likes the person, like I think they should buy him out this offseason anyway. But like he's played good games this year. You have to be a total moron to not say that. And to say that I'd rather have an AHL goaltender in there, you just have lost the plot. If you are rage baiting for engagement, like I assume a lot of these people are, like, sure, that gets you your engagement quota and you'll get the whatever Elon bucks you that you want, but you just don't know what you're fucking. we have lost the plot if we want to put an career AHL goaltender. He should be the third goalie in your system at most. Sorry, I had to get that out there. Anyway, it's been a kind of quiet week.
Hey, Charles.
Hey, Jen.
Hey. Where are you going to watch all those Kraken away games?
Kraken away games, making a push. I was thinking of coming here just because Ruff Tumble is the home of Circling Seattle Sports, only if that's okay with you.
I mean, I love that idea. Hope to see you here.
Hello there, everybody. Charles Hamaker here with Circling Seattle Sports. I'm joined by Jen Barnes of Ruff Tumble that we happen to be at right now.
Yeah.
Jen, why don't you talk to me a little bit about what we're announcing today, which is our partnership.
I'm so excited about this. First of all, I just want to say thank you. I think all of us here at Ruff Tumble are big fans of what you and your team at Circling Seattle Sports does. And so, I know you know this, but when you came to me with this idea, it just seemed pretty natural. And it's not just me. I think a lot of people in the sports community in Seattle also really respect you and your team. So it's exciting to kind of see these two things melding together, and we're really excited to start implementing some of the things and then hopefully seeing you guys a little bit more often.
Yeah, and so with what Jen says about seeing us more often, we've got a few things in the works, but you'll see watch parties here. We'd like to do a few different of our community drives, which you'll hear about here in a little bit from now. We've got to make our announcements one at a time. I can't drop everything.
Not everything
right.
all at once.
But this has been a home for a lot of our team, whether it's myself, our friend, our photographer Liz is behind the camera. Liz is here often, so our team has kind of adopted this place kind of like our own since I saw you at our soft launch. So, it's been great to have that support. And in a lot of ways, and part of the reason I wanted to do this was the Ruff Tumble embodies a lot of what Circling Seattle Sports wants to do. Obviously with women's sports, with the storm and the rain, but just being, having the game on, every game on.
Yep.
How much of that, did you see a line kind of even before this idea was mentioned when I first met you?
I think it's always felt like that. I mean, you and your team were here on opening night, and you just feel like you're part of the space, so it felt like really natural. And the fact that you actually cover all of the sports really makes your group stand out. So you are always covering all the rain games, all the storm games. You'd have women's softball, you'd have women's basketball, you'd have women's hockey. We love it. So all of those things, and obviously passionate M's fans, passionate Hawks fans, and passionate Kraken and Sounders fans. So really, from our perspective, those two things meshed really well.
So, you heard it from Jen herself, but this will be our home for all of these events, whether it's you can't make it to these games at home, we're always going to direct you to Ruff Tumble, and obviously the games on the road as well. All of these, we're talking about the rain, they've got their schedule out finally, but this will be our home for that.
Great.
The storm games on the road, this is our home.
Yeah.
For all intents and purposes.
I love it.
And when I mentioned it to Jen, when I first had this idea come up, I had this idea come up wearing a pink wig.
Yes, you did.
Ahead of Megan Rapinoe's final regular season home game for the Reign this past year.
Yeah.
I told her it's because I wanted this to feel genuine.
Yep.
I wanted a connection to feel genuine, and it does.
Yeah.
So that's what this is. Ruff Tumble is the home of Circling Seattle Sports, and I'm so excited to finally announce this partnership.
I can't wait.